Okay, hello, beautiful people out there. Of course, this is Prosper Michael from Prime Media Studio. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So we are here again to give us, as usual, the breaking news, the story that made the headlines around the country. Of course, this is Prime Media Studio. So the issue of flights, uh, Nigeria Air, of course, Nigeria Air and the subsidy removal, the actions of the government, governors, of course, and these are all we're going to be talking about today. They are all over the whole news paper, and we'll be giving you from the news online platform, from the online platform of various news outlets. So we're going to be starting from a Chinese news platform, and with the first story there says aircraft used for Nigerian Air was chartered flight from Ethiopia Airlines. So the news is there. So the interim managing director of Nigerian Air, Captain Dapo Olumide, on Tuesday said the aircraft used to unveil the country's national carrier was a legitimate charter flight from Ethiopia Airlines. So he said the aircraft returned to Ethiopia Airlines after unveiling. Olumide stated this before the Senate Committee on Aviation. So the committee members expressed its misgivings towards the unveiling of the national carrier during a meeting with Olumide, the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Aviation, Emmanuel Meribole, as well as heads of aviation agencies. So what you are seeing right on the screen, Nigeria Air, is actually a charter flight from Ethiopia. So I'm sure those that are involved in this will be brought to book because this is a national embarrassment. Okay, so it's natural embarrassment indeed. And the question was that why were they so hasty to do all this just to score, have a scorecard that they were able to um, revive Nigerian Air with using another country's air flight to portray as Nigerian Air. So I'm sure the appropriate authority will look into this and be able to address it accordingly. Of course, moving on, we saw this other story still on China platform, and like Kwara State, those slashes work days to three weekly over subsidy removal. So Edo State governor has decided that staff should work 3 days a week instead of 5 days to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal. So Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State has reduced civil and public servants' work days from 5 days to 3 days weekly. So this is part of measures uh, to reduce and to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal. And and the question is, how many states will be able to adopt this same method, and what will now happen to the outputs? So as a proactive government, we have since this, I quote this right now, as a proactive government, we have since taken the step to increase the minimum wage paid to workers in Edo State from the approved 30,000 to 40,000, the highest in the country today, he said in Tuesday statement. So not only have Edo State reduced the work time days of workers in those states, they've also increased the minimum wage from 30,000 to 40,000 naira. This what they have adopted in those states just to be able to help to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal, because whether you like it or not, it's really unsustainable because of the pressure, the transport fare over there. It has increased uh, extraordinary way. And so some states like Kwara took some decision last time. to use the days of the week, the days workers work during the week. And also Edo State has followed suit. And according to the Edo State government right now, the minimum wage in Edo State is the highest in the whole country as we speak. So their minimum wage now from this is now 40,000 for minimum wage. So we move on to the next story. The next we talked about how Nigeria can repay debt within 90 days. How Nigeria can repay debt within 90 days. And this is Jimoh Ibrahim speaking here. So, Senator-elect and billionaire business mogul, Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim, has proposed a plan for Nigeria to repay its debts within 90 days. Speaking during an interview on China's television Politics Today, Ibrahim said the authorities should approach 5 Exim banks and collect a loan that is 5 times the current debts. I can give you a strategy that can make you pay back the debts in 90 days. All you have to do is to call 5 Exim banks, including China Exim banks, he said on Monday. Take a loan about 5 times whatever you are owing currently, do a bridge gap financing, and then pay off what you are owing. Then you will have a surplus. Do a repayment program for 40 years, and then have an honorarium period of 10 years, and you are out of debt. So he's giving a strategy that because the government is owing so much, and is giving a strategy on how the government can repay it. Because looking at the analysis recently discovered that the money that the country is owing, the debt that the previous administration, Buhari's administration, left for the incoming government is so huge that these people that just came on board right now are giving strategies on how this debt can be repaid. And I'm sure that those in economic position to strategize on how the economy can grow and all that, we definitely look into this statement and be able to call attention to see how they can be able to clear these debts. So that's Jimoh Ibrahim speaking right there. To get gist of that story, you can just log on to China News Platform online platform. You can see the story there. So moving on, subsidy. Rest demand NNPCL audit over unaccounted 2 trillion naira assets. So the House of Rep are demanding the audit of the account of the amount of 2 trillion naira assets. So the House of Representatives has called for the forensic audit of Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited to determine its assets and liabilities, as well as its current market value. According to the House, the audit has become necessary due to the metamorphosis of Nigeria National Petroleum Corporation into a limited liability company. The House Ad hoc Committee on NNPCL's assets and liabilities in its report, which was presented to the legislature on Tuesday, claimed that its findings show that asset worth 64 billion naira, about 28 trillion, was $64 billion, which amount to about 28 trillion naira, was unveiled by former President Muhammadu Buhari, but during the transfer, only $58.8 billion, that's 26 trillion, at the official rate of 450 to $1, were transferred, leaving a balance of 2 trillion unaccounted for. So it's recommended that NNPCL should reassess its accounting system in order to unravel and be able to account for these expenses. So, of course, these are expected. New board, new people have been elected into position, and they want to ensure that all the abnormalities, all the errors, fraud in the system are properly unveiled. So let's move on to the next story I talked about. Of course, it's still the same story we read earlier. We chartered the plane from Ethiopia. So Nigeria Air MD breaks silence. So before now, this news was filtering in that the Nigerian Air was from Ethiopia. The news was was going through a social media platform and all that. And now there is they have break silence to explain it, how the air flight come about. So Dayo Lumide, the acting managing director of Nigeria Air, has disclosed that the plane The airplane that landed at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, on 26 May 2023 was a charter one from Ethiopia. So there is exposition to this right now. So we move on to the next. If you want to get that gist of that story, get details of the story, kindly log on to Punch News Online. You will see it there. So next one talks about subsidy removal. Northern Group backs Tinubu. So yeah, of course, some people are backing the decision. Some people are not comfortable with the decision. So we saw people from the north right now saying that, yeah, you have taken the right decision and all that. But I know very well that the previous, almost all the aspirants, all the presidential candidates, all promised to remove subsidy. And they all promised that the moment they are elected to the position of the number one citizen, with the presidential position, they will all remove the subsidy. But some said it wasn't going to be impromptu, as in sudden. They will do it face by face in order to remove the to make it easy for the citizen to adapt to. Some said they will put some measure in place before it's removed. And but when Bola Ahmed Tinubu becomes president, the very day on his speech, he says subsidy was gone, and the second day there was queue everywhere. Some places started hoarding petrol and all that. Queue to date, we still have queues all over the place. Some places are selling 500, 600, 488, and so on and so forth. So as to speak, the food items in the market has skyrocketed. And so right now, we see some group from the north saying that, hey, you have done well, and they're applauding it. So, of course, that's why it is. Consider a story from the Punch newspaper. Moving on, fuel subsidy. So, Edo increases minimum wage, approved 3 work days. We read this in the China's. Also, it's also surfacing on the Punch newspaper. So, Edo State has increased the minimum wage, and they have also slashed workers' days from 5 to 3. So, that's what they have done. And also now let's look at before now, when that fuel subsidy was removed, NLC threatened brimstone and fire, and they promised to embark on strike today, which is Wednesday. And then suddenly, as at yesterday, 6th of June, we heard that the strike has been suspended. So now you can see the headline in the Punch, in the Vanguard newspaper, why we suspended planned nationwide strike. NLC and TUC. So leaders of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, and Trade Union Congress, TUC, yesterday gave insight into why they resolved to shield the planned nationwide strike, aimed at forcing the federal government to reverse the 200% hike in the pump price of petrol. So rising from the Emergency National Executive Council, NEC, meeting yesterday, the president of NLC, Mr. Joel Ajero, and General Secretary Iman Ogboja cited the mood of the nation in view of the outcome of the presidential elections still being challenged at the tribunal, the need to pursue national stability, and the restraining order obtained by the federal government from the National Industrial Court, NIC, as reason for the decision to shift the planned industrial action. So, here you are. There you have it. That is their explanation why they have shift the sword, why they have decided to call it off, suspend it per se. So, and the main reason they have given is that the presidential election tribunal, election petition tribunal is still ongoing, and people are still looking forward to that tribunal, and the hopes of those that believe so much in the courts and Peter Obi, the hopes are still very high. And at the same time, people are still angry because some believe that their mandate was stolen. And as a result, and also, so they decide that if this is embarked upon, it could result to something beyond the strike. So because of that, and also government has also gone to court to issue restraining order so that NLC and TUC will not be able to embark on the strike today. So because of these two reasons, that is why they have been able to, that is why they could they decide to suspend the strike pending the determination of the meeting on 19th of this month, June. So that's the reason what they have given. So moving on. Yeah, World Bank, Nigeria's economic growth too slow to reduce poverty. So the growth of a Nigeria economy, that's what World Bank is saying. The growth is too slow to reduce poverty in the country. So the story says World Bank on glass building retains. The World Bank yesterday warned that Nigeria's economic growth is too slow to address the challenge of extreme poverty in the country. Meanwhile, the bank has retained its economic growth, that's gross domestic product, GDP, forecast of 2.8% for Nigeria in 2023, citing challenges of high inflation, foreign exchange shortages, and shortages of banknotes caused by currency redesign. So among other things, this bank downgraded its economic growth forecast for sub-Saharan Africa to 3.2% for 2023 from 3.4% projected in its April World Economic Outlook. It also projected that global economic growth will slow to 2.1% in 2023, with prospects clouded by financial risk. The World Bank stated after growing 3.1% last year, the global economy is set to slow substantially in 2023 to 2.1% amid continuing monetary policy tightening to train in high inflation before a tepid recovery in 2024 to 2.4%. So there you have it. So the projection is that the Nigerian economy is not doing too well. So which means that poverty will continue to rise. So let's move. The story of some Vanguard, you can get it just there. Of course, the leadership, the 10th National Assembly leadership tussle. Akpabio's fate uncertain as Tinubu breaks speakership impasses. So now, before now, we can assume that the president was routing for Akpabio, but as it stands right now, there's a lot of uncertainty if that's the choice of the president. So you can get the gist of that story from the Vanguard also. Let's move on to the next story. Just in, House directs Aviation Ministry to suspend Nigeria Air due to the controversy that is trailing the Nigeria Air. So House has directed that the activity should be suspended forthwith, pending the determination of heavy events surrounding the Nigeria Air. So that's on the Nation newspaper. Then we also see Parish Club refund. Courts insist on Emefiele's appearance over $53 million debt. So the courts have so Emefiele's trouble is not over. So he's been invited to come out to explain the depth of that amount to about $53 million. Okay, so I think we gradually rounding up to the end part of this today's show. The last story is still what we read earlier as regards Nigeria Air. So there's confession right now which chartered Ethiopian Airlines aircraft to unveil Nigeria Air. MD confesses. So all the gist we've been hearing that's been trending on social media has been put to rest now that the MD has confessed that indeed the airline was actually hired and it's not really Nigeria Air. Okay, so yeah, you're still watching the Prime Media Studio, and this is the much we can take at this time. So just keep joining us as we keep bringing you the gist, and we'll have a lot of wonderful program that's in the pipeline. So brothers will be giving it to you from inspiration, from news, and programming and all that on this medium. So come subscribe and keep following us as we unveil all this to you. So it's been Pastor Michael and James behind the camera. So do have a lovely day ahead. Stay blessed.